broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Kaufmann. Now, let the buzz begin!
Ooh, yeah. This feels good.
Feels good. Feels right.
It feels right. Hey there, AfterBuzzers, and welcome to another Vinyl After Show. Tonight we're talking Season 1, Episode 5, He in Racist Fire.
He is, though. Huh? He is, though.
He is. Yeah. Seriously.
There were some comments.
There were some things that were said.
Things were said. Lines were crossed. I'm Lauren Salaun. You guys can find me all over the internet at Lauren Salaun, and I'm joined by my awesome panel to the left here.
Yeah, you are. I'm Steve Kaufmann. You can find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. That's Kaufmann.
I'm Laila Sadny. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at Laila Sadny.
And I'm Jeff Graham. You guys can find me on Twitter at Jeffrey C. Graham and Instagram at Jeffrey Crane Graham.
So many grams. I can't every time. I'm going to make a comment
Too many
every
grams.
single time.
Grams squared.
So many grams. And you guys know that you can find us on youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV, blah, 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 where you should subscribe and comment and all that stuff. Thumbs up, you know. And also talk to us on Twitter. We want to hear what you guys think of the episodes. And if you're in YouTube right now, get in that live chat because we've got it up and we will talk to you.
All up on that live chat.
All up in that.
Yes.
All right. So how do we feel about this episode this week? And I know you said we've progressed in our artillery.
Yeah, the pacing
metaphors.
artillery metaphor.
Yes.
We've officially made it to machine gun.
Yes, finally.
Which is funny because we were at musket. We were at musket right up until then.
I love this episode. I loved all the new characters and just the speed of it, and I think it was probably like one of my favorite episodes so far.
Yeah, me too. I really like Andy. I'm excited to talk about her with you guys.
Oh yeah. She's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we got a lot of new stuff and some good intensity for sure this week. And I think not to get into next week, but it's building.
Yes.
Machine guns for sure. All right. And before we dive into everything, we want to tell you guys about a really fun show we've got coming up. It's called The Tomorrow Show. And basically, if you guys are curious about celebrity boyfriends, midlife crisis, or hearing stories about behind the scenes Hollywood life, or old TV references and movie stuff, you guys are going to really like this show. So it's with Kevin Undergaro, who is Maria Menounos' fiance, which is some new news.
Yes.
Super exciting.
Wait, I live under a rock. What happened?
Excuse me?
Funny. you can watch it on Sirius XM, I think. It was adorable, that whole video. I freaking loved it. Loved it. Anyway, so Kevin Undergaro, along with AfterBuzzer co-hosts Roxy Stryer, Ashley Daniels, and more people for this super fun show. It's on live Mondays and Thursday nights, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific on thetomorrowshow.com, or you can subscribe and download for free on iTunes. All right, guys, go to thetomorrowshow.com for more info. Watch it. Tune in. It's going to be so fun. All right. Now, let's dive in. We start off at a showcase for our record label, and it was just, this opening scene was so funny. Oh my gosh.
Medieval times.
Yeah, Clark is like, they headlined at a recent Renaissance fair, and they just are incredible. And he's like air fluting.
Poor Clark.
I know.
Bless his heart.
I mean, to be fair, that group looked like it would have sold a lot of albums. That have been like super lame,
like
fluty albums.
So niche.
So theatrical,
like,
yeah.
Very 70s. My first thought was that I was watching a promo for Game of Thrones because it's HBO, and I was like, oh man, Game of Thrones has really like lowered their production quality.
Well, not to mention the Game of Thrones
how did
promo.
they get the electricity?
Well, I was watching it with my friend, and he was like, "Is this final? Like, what's going on?" I'm like, yes.
Not to mention the Game of Thrones promo that was on before this.
Yeah.
Actually used very modern music.
Right, you're right.
Like,
They
it's
need to
so
switch.
confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was just hilarious. And which shows, like, I mean, obviously Clark is getting desperate here. We saw
yeah.
him flub majorly with Alice Cooper, and the whole
He hasn't been
A&R
able
team.
to find anyone
Exactly.
either, so he's just anything.
But at the same
he can
time, like, yeah, he had 2 weeks to get somebody in. That was what was laid down. Everyone in this universe talks about how that wasn't great, but they're also talking about how the place is holding on. But I think Julie was right to keep him around for no other reason than anyone who would swing and a miss like that, I'd rather have. Like,
Right.
from a
At
money
least
standpoint.
he's like trying,
He's
I
trying
guess.
hard.
stalking Alice Cooper in the hallway.
Yeah.
Exactly, and they want something that's new and different and fresh. And while this was just a little too out there, like I loved watching Richie's face during this episode. He's like,
Yeah.
what's happening
I mean,
exactly?"
yeah.
It was a big miss, and I felt like he wasn't gonna get fired when Julie's like, he got fired,
Yeah.
and then begs for his
Demoted.
spot back, and
Yeah.
becomes coffee boy.
Aw, you find
I know.
out, but you find out a lot more, a little more about his backstory, and
Right,
it's like
to Yale. His
Yeah.
dad's gonna be so
Yeah.
disappointed. He was already
he's
disappointed.
but I could see how like him and Jamie are very similar, like kind of like going
Right.
against their parents' wishes and going after their own passion.
Exactly.
It was a very well acted scene. Is that Jack Quaid? Is that his name? Very impressed by his performance because it was funny. I mean, he's been funny this whole show, but he really showed some true vulnerability in those scenes. And yeah, props to that actor.
Props,
Also-
man.
Also have a lot of friends who've graduated from Ivy League institutions, but then do a lot more like artsy stuff out here, and they don't. Like, they just claim wherever they went to undergrad,
Right.
like whatever, like
Yeah.
regular university you went to undergrad, they just claim they did grad there too.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you say Yale or Harvard, people like bug out
They're like,
In
no.
LA.
and like expect way too, or anywhere. Like those
Yeah.
are like a top tier.
I think
Ivy
if
League
you're trying to
school.
work in certain industries, like it's not always.
Yeah, like that doesn't do you any favors, as Julie said.
Right.
It's like that doesn't do you any favors. If you don't come in here and like, that's great. You're smart enough to swing
like,
for the fence
cool.
and know where the fence is and how to swing for the fence. But if you don't knock it out of the park pretty soon, you don't live up to being Yale or Harvard or Princeton, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to be able to bring something back with it. Exactly. Not just be able to think smart about it.
Yeah.
Come on, Clark. But hopefully I think he's endearing.
Yeah,
You know,
I like
he's
that.
like kind of a puppy dog.
Yeah, I mean, you have to feel for him. I mean, he's definitely like a fan. I think a fan favorite, probably in some ways.
I'm wondering where his arc's going to go, though. Like, because it's interesting. We've already had.
Well,
I think he's gonna get angry.
Yeah.
He's gonna start just like becoming more of like a badass. I hope. That's
Yeah,
what
I can
see.
see that. Like, actually bring something to the label now that he's hit
Yeah.
rock bottom.
Yeah, and if he's so like if he's searching so hard and he's so out there, eventually he's gonna bring someone that's out there that's great.
Interesting. Yeah,
Possibly.
yeah. That'd be a cool turn.
okay, I guess young 70s white guys all look the same to me because I thought Clark was the one who brought that recording to the other detective. I was dead wrong.
Oh, they did look very similar.
Thank you.
Right?
I was like,
yeah.
I guess 70s white dudes all
that
look the
shaggy-
same.
I also had a
look
moment where I thought Clark.
Was the lead singer.
he really looked like. Because that was Velvet Underground, right? Who was,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait,
Wait, with the
Playing
toward
White
the
Light.
end with
Playing White Light, White Heat.
While with that last scene at end where
where Andy is
yeah,
with the
Yeah.
makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought it was New York Dolls. No.
Oh, was
it might have been the New York Dolls.
I thought that was.
I knew
We
the
will
song,
find out very
The
quickly.
makeup. Yeah.
but either way, I thought it was Clark in makeup fronting the band, and I was like, "What is happening?"
That would
would
be a
be
turn.
awesome.
That would be.
it
That'd be
really
hilarious
looks like
if
him.
he moonlighted as.
I was hoping that was the twist.
Moonlit as a headlining band.
That was what I was hoping. That'd be such a
That
compelling
would be so
twist.
cool.
but-
But it's like,
He's
why
like, I'm
don't-
gonna bring myself to the label.
yeah,
It's like, that should have been call number one.
right.
I-
You've got some resources here.
So back at the office, also obviously everyone's still scrambling, trying to do stuff. But I thought the girl drama
yeah.
was very interesting.
Me
Now,
too.
I forget the front desk receptionist girl's
white
name.
girl.
But she's always been
She's a
such
hater.
little bitch.
She's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
She was set up to be that way the
Yeah.
whole
Yes,
time.
Yeah.
the whole time. She's
That's-
always got some smart ass comment to
And
come
she-
back,
at
and she's
first I
such a
thought-
jerk to Jamie.
Yeah, at first I thought it was just Jamie, but no, it's everyone. She's
Yeah,
just she's just
But I think when we explore the sexism that's inherent of the 70s that the show explores, I think she's the kind of character that like perpetuates it. That like literally, no, I have this desk and I'm going to be mean to all the other women,
Right, exactly. I mean,
particularly because men run this world.
Yeah.
Like that's that character.
totally. There's a lot of like front desk office people that are I should say women, but mostly women that are like that.
Resentful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Resentful of other women that are trying to do, that are trying to step up.
And not just be.
Right.
just
And
you've been falling in line and just.
Yeah.
And the sexism stuff is such a big theme for this show that, you know, highlighting how even back then, like the few women that are a part of this company, you know, they're,
They have their
cutting
plate.
each other down and they're
Yeah.
competing against one another when
Right.
they probably don't even really need to
When
be.
they
you
should
know?
all just bond
I
together.
know, raise each other up, girls. And even with Cece, which I always thought that Cece and Jamie were on pretty good terms. And of course, like Cece's been hanging out with Hannibal a lot, late nights,
Yeah.
and Jamie comments on that, and she like
She's
shuts her down.
Yeah.
Richie Finestra's office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
She's like, I can still do my job.
Right, and we see more of that later when Jamie is bitching about, Clark is bitching to Jamie about how he got demoted and all this, and he's like trying to get in on her drug running situation so he can make a little extra cash on the
'Cause it
side. She's
sounds like-
back
Oh my
up
gosh.
off my
Can you imagine
thing."
Clark being like the drug runner?
Right?
Well, no, what it sounds like is that he can't afford to live.
No.
Right.
He can't afford to live on her salary.
Right.
Yeah, she's like, well, that's what I'm doing.
Without her drug
Yeah.
hustle.
Yeah, seriously. Get out of here, Clark.
Clark needs a side hustle now.
This was a great episode for Cece, though. It was fun to get to know her better, and I'm sure we might not be talking about it yet, but I really like what we got to see of her, which was nice.
Well, yeah. Well, why don't we let's
Dive
go
in?
there with the
Yeah.
whole Hannibal thing. That was a huge part of this episode, obviously. So, still, Hannibal, one of their biggest artists, is contemplating leaving and going to Jackie Jervis's label, which is where Andy, the
PR rep.
the
PR
is,
aficionado.
which we learned this week also that she used to be
there's
not only she used to be dating Richie, she
Backstory.
they used to like be in love and all that stuff, but also work together. So there's a lot more history here than we ever knew.
I love the two of them together. They're the two of them, like in their scenes, their chemistry was just amazing.
Yeah.
Like I like her.
Yeah, it was kind of nice to see. We can get there later, but I'm kind of shipping them a little bit. Well, that's a big thing to say, but Andy seems like she can.
Team Randy?
I'm a little bit Team Randy. Yeah, it seems like she can. It seems like she knows how to handle Richie better than Devin.
She does. She knows how to put him in his place.
Well, and she's like, "Why did you choose her over me?" Sort of thing. It's because like I'm smarter than her, and you're intimidated by a woman who's smarter than you, and that sort of thing. And he flat out says, "Oh,
ouch!" The worst thing a woman probably ever would want to hear.
He's like, "She's more beautiful than you."
Yeah.
So he chose the pretty,
Ooh.
less intelligent one.
Yeah.
We've made a lot of Entourage comparisons. She's kind of Shauna-y to me. I don't know if you guys... She's not a major character in Entourage, but she's just like this really spunky... She's basically the only female character in Entourage who's not like mostly a sex object.
Barbara, but that didn't happen till way later.
Yeah, you're right. And Babs, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was fun to see a woman who like really, really was bold, because I mean, we've seen that a lot in this show, but I just really liked Andy, long story short.
But not just bold, but also bold and successful in their world.
You're right.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, that's one of the huge things,
like,
is that
sought
she's
after,
respected
you know?
by all these men who are big label execs too.
Right.
And the artists love her because Hannibal loves her. And
Which is why Hannibal went there.
yeah,
Which is
but
why
Richie
Richie
stole her back.
Which is why
It's
Richie
like-
stole her back.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Richie's still on drugs.
Oh, he,
So much
he is
coke.
on drugs.
So much.
All
coke.
the coke.
Yeah.
And I've always felt like Richie respected Cece as his assistant and stuff. So like now he needs a favor from her to, can you bring your boyfriend to dinner, sort of thing. And
He tried to break it to Cece nicely.
Oh, yeah.
Because I see this happen to young women a lot. That like an older man who happens to be like powerful and just walks in with that air of cool, and is also married or in a committed relationship, but
wants
cheats.
little side piece.
But cheats, and he just like has a side piece for like 3 weeks, and like it destroys them.
Yeah.
Where everyone around them is just like, oh honey.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah. Richie's like,
honey.
he's not like, don't
not gonna
don't
put a
go
ring on your
packing your
finger.
bags anytime soon. He's not gonna marry you.
Yeah.
You know, he's married already. And
You're
she,
gonna see him for
obviously
the
that's,
next.
That's news to her that he's even married.
Yeah, you're gonna see him for like 10, maybe 15 nights in a row, and then you'll see him like a week later after no contact.
yes.
Right.
and then
with
you
someone
won't see him
else.
at all.
Yep.
I-
Exactly.
Yeah. That's how side pieces work.
Oh, boo.
Just broke down the side
I
piece.
know.
15,
If you're a side piece,
Just so you know.
now you know.
15,
gotta
1,
learn.
then 1. Then done.
Just broke a lot of hearts out there.
1 and done.
Side piece.
Mic drop that side piece. What? I don't even know what's happening. Anyway, okay, so they go to dinner. And Devin comes along, which is, it's a very strategic dinner. And this whole scene is really all we see of Devin in this episode.
Pretty,
you know? And they're all like having a good time.
She
having
looked
some drinks
hot,
and stuff.
I will
She's
say.
gorgeous. She's smoking.
She was wearing that red dress.
Yeah.
Yes.
Concur. Yes. And so after they go back to Hannibal's place, right? And they're like doing drugs and
only Richie I think was doing drugs.
oh yeah,
They were all drunk probably.
Yeah.
I mean everyone was pretty messed up.
but I think
in
just
some form
Substance
or the other.
affected.
Yeah, because even he offered it to Hannibal, and he's like, "No, I'm
said
good."
no.
And it's
Yeah.
just like they're just like messing with each other, you know, like.
No, I'm good. I got your
whole thing.
wife.
Yeah,
instead
on
right
me
now.
right
We're
now.
good.
So
Yeah, and that whole time it was very. That was such an uncomfortable scene.
Yeah.
to watch because Devin knows like what's up with. Okay, let's like. And she even says it later. I was bait, like you know.
Yeah.
I think that's obviously that's like a role that she's played a lot for him, you know. And but it's like
Yeah, let me charm the talent.
But I feel like
and
dance with the talent is fairly new. Because they talk a lot about how Richie's just super...
she probably would flirt, you know, and just the attractive
but there's flirt, like,
arm
but
candy.
she's clearly crossed a line she hasn't crossed before.
Yeah.
But it's also clear that she's been the bait or the trophy wife or like filled this role before with other
Yeah,
clients.
but I wonder if like, do we think she's like really slept with other ones?
No,
I don't think so.
Okay, I don't think so either.
I think
that's
this is the
probably
furthest she's ever gone.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And
At first, I
it
thought
was
like
so awkward.
when
Hard to
that was
watch.
going on, and then Cece like he pulled Cece on his lap, and like there's like no chemistry at all.
No.
I thought
no, and
there was gonna
Cece's
be
like
some-
trying to get up, and
Yeah.
he's like not letting her,
It
and
was,
it's getting
I thought there was gonna be some
weird.
sort of weird like orgy or something.
Orgy
you know?
business?
Yeah.
No, it was such a power move, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Devin's like being strategic and like, you know, working the flirt sort of thing. Hannibal's all into her, and Richie is clearly getting uncomfortable. Like, at first I'm like, is he into this?
I know.
What's happening?
No,
I'm
he
like,
was.
and
Yeah.
then you're like, no, he's pissed.
But knowing him and his character, what we know so far, and that he has that temper, the fact that he had to hold it in because of he wants to sign Hannibal.
Right.
But that had to be so hard for him because he was very messed up and on drugs on top of it, and watching the mother of his children like grind on a guy in front
But
of
at
you.
the same time, shoot, like, girl needs to get some,
That's what
like,
I was
get her flirt
saying.
on. I'm not saying, go have an affair, but like,
she needs to get hers, like, too.
Right.
And
Yeah.
she's obviously
And so-
not.
and so then
Wait,
when
is that
he-
acceptable for chicks to just go and get their flirt? Married chicks just go and get their flirt on?
I mean,
For Devin, maybe. If
very
I'm
upset.
Devin and I've been dealing with Richie for the last month,
You're angry.
I don't know. I don't think she owes him much. But
Yeah. Well, and then
She's
like
trying to
he
piss him off,
he
too.
pulls her out. Okay, you know they.
Well, no,
they
but
go into the,
especially because like he kind of called her out there out of obligation. Like I do understand where
Right.
Devin's coming from.
Yeah.
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 It wasn't
Sounds like
like,
she's
oh,
gonna-
honey, I want to like have a night with you. Like, we need to.
This was
no.
a complicated scene because, like, Devin's playing a game that Richie wants her to play, but, like, the viewers and Richie can tell she might be playing the game a little too hard.
Right.
But maybe she's not because Richie's treated her so poorly.
Yes.
So, like, this really was one of the reasons I liked this episode was because it was very complicated.
Right.
And even, like, introducing the racial and sexual components. I noticed the song, one of the lyrics was, "And this is gonna make me light your fire," which, of course, the song would be talking about Devin's passion, but the title of the episode is He and Racist Fire, so I feel like that might have been an allusion to Rich, this kind of obviously understated, bigoted part of who Richie is. So I think I like this episode because it felt a little more kind of understated and complicated than I think what we've seen so far.
Yeah,
Right,
there's a
exactly.
lot going on in that scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and because with that scene too, you know, she's playing the game, but she's also is enjoying it.
She's
a little
enjoying
bit,
it,
too.
and she's pissed, and she's trying to piss him off too.
Yeah.
You know, and what a
Exactly.
better way to do it.
And she probably hasn't been laid in
No,
the
that's
entire,
what I'm saying.
The entire length of this
Right.
series.
Right. Yeah, I don't think we've
Sorry.
seen them actually get it on, like,
Not, other than
aside
flashbacks.
from like making out
Other
and
than
then like
flashbacks.
over.
Well, that was his anger, was like she did respond anatomically.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is anatomically. There was a physical response.
Yes. On both parties.
Yes. Yeah. So they're in the they're in the elevator, and I'm like, ooh, they're gonna hook up finally
Like, this is gonna be hot.
Yeah, and then he discovers things.
There's a discovery.
She was a little excited.
Discovery.
Also, if you're ever in an elevator and you want to do something you don't want other people to see, you need to hit that e-brake.
I know.
Exactly.
They didn't hit that
But-
e-brake. I was just waiting for like an old lady with groceries to come in while he had his hand around her neck, making out with her. I was just like,
Yeah.
Or Clark to walk in or something.
Clark
Clark's hanging out.
Clark lives in Hannibal's building.
Yeah.
So
I can see it.
It's like,
they
can I
get,
get my job back?
He's there for the
Richie?"
party.
and then on the street they get into it, yelling like, and she finally.
Yes.
slaps him in the
Yes.
face. He's being so insulting.
Terrible.
Yes.
To her.
Like racist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she slaps him. They both looked so shocked. Like, I loved her face after she did that, because I've never slapped someone in the face seriously, but I've accidentally. I think to my little brother, I accidentally slapped him in the face once. Like, I meant to do it soft,
Or like
and then
a
I
play
hit him
slap.
hard, sort of thing. And I was like, whoa! Didn't mean to do that, you know? But so it was that sort of thing where, I mean, very different situations, obviously.
Yeah.
But, you know, she is
Just
surprised
scared.
at what
Yeah,
she had just done.
It scared. It caught her off guard. She just all her anger and emotions came out.
Such good acting, I think, right in
Yeah.
that split second, in that moment. And then she storms off, which I know Richie couldn't believe, she couldn't believe. I was like, she's doing it.
You know
girl.
what I thought when she stormed off and like they were showing her walk and just like just everything that happened. I was thinking that she was gonna go and do drugs. Like now she's gonna relapse and do drugs.
Fall off the wagon.
Although
Yeah.
I think what we're learning from the preview for next week is that a relapse for her isn't drugs.
Not
Sex.
Like it's weird
Party scene.
Yeah, the weird 70s party scene I think is her drug.
I
Yeah.
never watched
I
it
don't-
coming up.
Really looking forward to next week.
Yeah.
And all that weird 70s party scene.
Yeah.
Yes. So the next day, I think, we learned that Hannibal ended up signing with Jackie after all. So,
That was that night in the car.
oh yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't even.
They left. So
Yeah,
Richie
Jackie
left
calls.
him the cocaine, the drugs, and he invited. It's such an extra slap in the face. They're like sitting there doing his drugs and like calls him and celebrating the fact that he signed them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So he's like, "Oh, I can't have your wife," or I mean,
Well, actually, question for the panel though: do we think Hannibal ever intended to re-sign with Richie?
that's a good question.
Was he playing him the whole way?
It was hard for me to foresee a situation where Hannibal would have signed with Richie, even despite the attempts to seduce him. I don't think Devin would have actually gone far enough to convince Hannibal to play with American Century.
And I think American Century is very clearly a sinking ship.
Right.
Yeah, I think he was just like letting Richie chase him and woo him and
Get
playing
some
that
free
little
dinners.
game. Yeah,
Get some free
dinners
blow.
and-
some drugs and women
Yeah.
and
It's an interesting question, and I think there was no hope.
Me either.
Yeah.
that's true.
Or because he was making that decision. Hannibal was making that decision based on business, and the business was I need to go where Andy is.
And
Yeah.
then Cece even kind of gave him a little inside scoop. That look, he's seriously considering this. So,
Wah, wah. So let's talk a little bit about the nasty bits and Jamie and stuff. So Richie wants to make some strategic changes to the nasty bits. Like they've got like 20 guitarists
yeah.
and
well, labels do that all the time. They'll sign you and then they just kind of mold you into like what they want.
yeah,
and
which is
ask
sometimes
people.
like pretty shitty. You know, if you're a band or an artist, you know, you want to be doing kind of your vision.
Exactly.
I mean, I think
But-
there are certain limits to what you
well, it's like
should and shouldn't
sometimes
do
you have to do
for your label, but
you have-
sometimes, yeah.
sometimes you have to do that. It's not your vision, and then you break, and then you can kind of go back to what you really want to do.
Exactly. You know, and knowing what to be okay giving up and doing, and what like to really put your foot down on. I don't know if like, you know, they fired Duck was his name,
Duck.
the lead guitarist who was one of Kip's friends and
Yeah.
all
of
that
the name.
stuff. Huh?
He thought of the name of the band.
Right.
Yeah,
Kip couldn't
it's-
do it. I mean, it was his best friend.
Well, but is that Kip's job if it's not
It's
coming from
No,
Kip?
it's not
No,
his
it's
job
really
because it's
not.
not his band. It's
the
they're
la-
a band.
Yeah.
You let the manager do
if
that.
it's him and he's got a band that's backing him, yeah, maybe it's his job, but still it's the manager's.
But before a manager and a record deal, yes, that would have been Kip's job. But at the same
Right,
time, there
correct.
wouldn't have been a need.
Exactly.
But I do see their point. Like the guitarist that they fired, he was just sitting there. Like, what is? I mean, come on. Like, you have to add something.
Yeah, I think the show painted it that we should be on Richie's side here, because like Duck did seem incompetent, you know.
Yeah.
But it felt true. Like, again, the things I like about this show are when I feel like I'm experiencing the label, like when I'm at work with Richie and with the bands, and this felt true. So I liked this.
Yeah, for sure. And I like this. I mean, we've got this like little romance with Jamie and Kip, and some of it is, and I think, you know, we're seeing another theme: women using their sex to,
Get ahead.
persuade and get ahead. And so but I think she's also
cares about him.
Yeah, cares about him.
I think she cares about him, and I think, you know, she's kind of protecting her investment in a way too.
Oh, yeah, like, she is.
When he pulls out that little kit.
Was that heroin?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't tell what drug it was.
Yeah.
That's
So they hook up.
dangerous.
He is doing heroin.
Not in the 70s.
Yeah, I
in the
just.
70s. It was like
okay.
You totally.
So many
No,
people
you
agree
You get
on
heroin
it.
at the 7-Eleven.
I mean,
'70s.
it was
And
common.
cocaine out of like vending machines.
But people didn't know that heroin can destroy lives. Like, I don't know if we're setting Kip up to fail. Like,
I think it was pretty common of like the British scene, scene too, even more so.
Although, of all the drugs, I think heroin is the least social.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because you literally
Absolutely.
sit in a corner and have your own high, where it's
Right.
just like all the other drugs, you at least like go out and feel something.
you
Whereas,
pass the joint.
you know, like,
Yeah.
heroin is literally just like, I'm just gonna rock in a corner
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
and feel the best thing ever.
That just feels like big potatoes. Like,
Right.
I think we'll see that come into play.
Yeah,
I
I
hope
think
so.
just
Yeah.
getting a little glimpse of him shooting it, and he's shooting up after something bad is happening. So
Yeah.
if that's how he's dealing with shitty situations, like when stuff happens later, I think we're gonna see some scary stuff with that.
with him. Yeah, and I like how she was just trying to distract him with her sex.
Yeah,
I'm in a place.
wily women.
I love Jamie so much. I wish I liked Kip more because I'm like not super excited about them. I don't know. I'm like, I'll be interested to see how their relationship develops. But
Yeah.
maybe
I don't
we'll
know.
grow on you.
Yeah.
And I think he, from the band perspective, is starting to take things a little more seriously. Obviously,
is.
when he stands up to Duck a little bit, and then like in the teaser a little, you know, going through potential guitarists, all
I
that
can't
stuff.
believe in the boardroom how he was talking to Richie like that.
I know.
I was like, oh
Gosh,
my
yeah.
god.
Although I like, but that plays true to their sound and their and their whole thing, and especially now that they have a manager that'll stand up for them too. Like, they're not just going to be totally taken advantage of.
we got some
good.
leverage.
Good.
Exactly.
And he pretty much offered him his dream, like playing with the opening for the New York Dolls.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, what are you going to do? It's your career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So let's switch. We've only got a few more minutes here. Let's talk about Jamie going to meet her mother at some fancy ass restaurant, and that was such a tense
I loved it.
lunch.
Yeah, so,
it was so
we
good.
were wondering like what nationality they maybe were.
Polish.
So it's Polish.
She
Yeah.
was a Polish Holocaust survivor.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Looking at her daughter looking at her daughter who wants to be a record executive. Just
The
going,
most Jewish industry.
but a Polish Holocaust survivor who came to America and made themselves a very rich person.
Right.
Looks at their daughter who's now doing
wants
more
nothing to do with it, pretty much.
Yeah, now is doing
Yeah.
more than just getting coffee at a place, but still making the same rate as somebody who's getting coffee.
And she
just, like-
tells her she got a raise.
And it's just like, I don't even know what you do. Like, what do you contribute?
Right. You know, I kind of am not as on board with this plot as you guys are. You guys really responded to this positively, or
I mean,
No,
not
not really.
necessarily. I
No.
don't. I think we're gonna see Jamie like be able to say, "Oh, told you so" to
Right.
mom.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna come up at some point.
I just like honestly don't necessarily care. Like, because I don't feel like Jamie's mom is holding her back at all.
Right.
What I'm trying to figure out is like, why is Jamie even giving her the time of day? Like, does Jamie have is there a need?
It's our mom and
Her mom, though, has called her, what are the quotes?
Us
a blonde whore. That she tried to arrest for life and also wanted to stab her in the throat.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh my
like,
gosh,
I feel
right.
like the writing is a little extreme to the
mom-
point where I
I
feel
love
like
it.
Jamie would be like, fuck you.
You've
Pardon my
never,
And
French.
it's not
you've
like-
never met a
Sorry.
Polish mother.
it's not like her mom is supporting her. I mean,
In
financially in any way. Or
I just don't get why
She's
Jamie's
like, "You will
all...
get the soup."
Why?
She's like, I don't want soup.
I get family loyalty, but I feel like there's a line, and I feel like Jamie's strong enough to be like, you know, my career. Like, I just don't get. Was there a purpose for the lunch?
Well, to give the key back, and I think to like completely sever ties.
Maybe to talk to her about what happened too when she came.
I think she's trying to make what she does seem legitimate, you know, and so that her mom will support her and one day at least accept it, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it was very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Or just like I don't feel like I gained a lot from that character relationship.
I think I gained
we find out
where
definitely
Jamie,
it's her mother.
Yeah, where Jamie came from.
Yeah. That's
like
true.
Jamie came from the idea of that like very immigrant mentality of just like you're in America to work hard and every moment of every day to get all the great things.
That's fair.
And you have to value money above all else.
Right.
Yeah.
Money and power above all else. Like whereas especially a kid in the 70s would be like, well that sounds dumb.
And after like their family went through so much and now has so much and Jamie doesn't want to, you know, do that, doesn't want to take it over.
She could easily
one day,
just take it over and be set and know she wants to struggle and go after her passion. So.
Yeah. Keep doing you, Jamie girl.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Also,
all right.
quick shout out to the Panda Pancake in the chat. You gave us an teethy smile emoji.
Thank you.
Yay.
Jehonet Blanco in the chat gave a
Squinty
eye smile without
blushing
teeth.
smile.
Aww.
Blushing, is that a blushing smile?
I think. I don't know.
The emojis are different on like iPads as they are
render
from the,
differently.
Yeah, they render differently. It's weird. And then China Dolls 123 in the chat was asking us about specifically Jamie's
Jamie
mom,
and her mama.
who's got it going.
Thanks for chatting with us, y'all.
Thanks, y'all.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. Okay. And let's end with, I think, real quick. We're running out of time. All right, so
Richie and
the
his
murder
dad?
situation
Yeah, murder.
and Richie's father. So his dad calls and basically Richie's like, I need you to be my alibi. Like, what's our story? He's like, oh, we did that thing. We went to that movie about the dragons, the kung fu.
Richie April.
Right. And then later comes to the office and we learn a little bit more backstory about Richie and kind of why he is the way he is and maybe why he got into music. His dad was a jazz player, which we knew already, but also not very present, an alcoholic. And so there's definitely like
there's some
daddy drama.
addiction in the
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But we also get a little idea for the new record label name because we'd been talking about that.
Yes.
Alibi Records.
I love obsessed.
At first he writes that down and I was like, don't write down alibi,
I thought he was
you
write down his
idiot.
alibi. I'm like, oh, no. First step of crime,
Like,
don't
you
write down your
dumbass.
alibi.
Yeah, I'm like, hide the evidence. Maybe don't write it down. And then I was like, oh, no. I get it.
That's an awesome name.
Yeah.
It is,
It's
yeah.
pretty good. Because it is that, like, because they're going for something that's a little, you know,
Edgy.
off and edgy and stuff. And that for sure, like, is hardcore.
How about like the police bugging the office and doing cocaine also?
Things are happening.
They steal
70s
his
cops.
coke?
Everyone
I think
did
they
coke.
did.
That's the thing to do.
I think everyone did coke, and I think everybody stole Richie Finestra's coke.
Yeah.
I think including these police,
The stash of all stashes.
one of whom I thought was Clark.
I think
watched
all of us thought
Scarface.
Clark was every other
Right?
character in
He's
this show.
just so vanilla, I guess.
Yeah.
I watched Scarface this weekend, not to get totally off topic, but, you know, mountains and mountains
for
of coke.
sure.
Same,
Yes.
same time period. It's just everywhere.
There's
All
some
the coke.
connections for sure.
I'm surprised there's any coke left for the rest of
Right?
us in this present world after the 70s.
It's an organically occurring substance. What?
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Science.
But we
It is a
also
plant.
at the police station when we learn that they're bugging his call. Like I'm thinking they're gonna get something like we're just gonna be like, and then I bashed his head in or something, you know.
Right.
But everything he
Nothing.
says,
It's
I mean,
safe.
it suggests that he's involved for sure, but he never fesses up to doing anything, which is so smart.
Which is smart and awesome that he was saying, like, I am the last person he called, you know, but I have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
on record. So
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what they already know too, you know?
Yeah.
So I was very happy that Richie did not do something too stupid there. But see, I mean, if I had just like bashed someone's head in and killed him, I probably would never speak of it again.
and definitely not in your
And never confirm it in any way.
definitely not in your office, like where you know that
At a
ears,
recording.
eyes, no.
That would
Yeah.
be-
Yeah, at a
right?
recording studio,
Hello.
where there are things that can be
recording shit
recorded
everywhere.
anyway.
We're like recording some track in the next room and you just got your confession
I'm
on
just going
tape.
to put my lawyer hat on real quick. I'm pretty sure that's not admissible.
Oh, really?
Pretty
Lawyered.
straight up lawyered. I'm pretty sure you need a judge to order a warrant to
wiretap?
place.
Right.
And maybe those cops got it.
Yeah.
Or they're just
Because the office
maybe-
was actually the office was burned, and they'd cleared out all the furniture.
there
so
was
so there were plenty of opportunities for just not those officers last week.
But at the same time, I bet you could probably still, you wiretap it and you get the confirmation, and then you figure out
and then
how to
you-
get the proof of it.
Including just like play
That's
him
not
the
really
tape.
like
of,
the right
we-
way to do it, but
Right.
Like we play,
That's
you
the-
play him the tape and claim this is inadmissible, but you've admitted it.
yeah,
Right.
and then hope
We'll
he
go digging, or
confesses
you can
something.
help us, kind of a-
Exactly.
The Brandon Dassey making a murderer approach.
That's what I was
Sorry,
like, there we go.
I forgot to put on my police hat. After. Take off the lawyer hat. Put on the police hat.
All right, so we are out of time. So let's talk real quick about predictions.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay, so next week in the teaser, we see that Andy comes in to the team. Girl Andy. We also see Andy Warhol comes back because Devin is like MIA and party girl city.
Yeah.
And David Bowie is going to
yes.
come in because Andy apparently knows him or knows his people.
Those
so
are
it
all
looks,
really good predictions.
Oh, these are
Great.
I just know things.
You were nailing this.
No, so that's what we saw, and so that's what we already know. I'm not predicting anything or reading the future, but I think that next week's episode is going to be so freaking intense and
Yes.
so
Yeah.
good. Like definitely
I'm so excited.
machine gun.
Yes.
I think this whole
I'm
episode
fired
will
up.
be machine gun. This is like all this entire sandbox of these. They were just making this web, and like the
Machine
first couple
guns,
weeks were
webs.
just kind of that X that they have to make, and then right now we're getting into the circle. What?
Yeah.
That's how people make. That's how spiders make webs.
Yeah. No, I got you. I'm there.
Yeah.
Some of us grew up in the woods, and that's all you had to do is you watch a spider make a
Web
web.
making.
Do we think they're going to be able to pull Bowie?
I think Andy's gonna pull
I
Bowie.
think she is.
Yeah, she's gonna save the label.
Yep.
And I think there's going to be some sort of heat because we already got like a little, we know there was heat in the past. And
There's gonna be
since
some-
Devin is out partying and like, F you, Richie, and he's pissed about that, I think there's going to be
They
a little
got some.
heat with
No, there's
Andy.
attraction with the two of them. For
So
sure.
on.
I think the prediction I'll make is that Richie will cheat. I don't know, particularly if Devin will,
Right. He's gonna.
and
cheat.
what will constitute cheating, and because there is a double standard, especially then among like what
I thought
Devin,
that
what it
was
looks
off
like,
cheating.
what it looks like Devin's doing with Andy Warhol might be artistic and not sexual or not sex.
Well, I don't- yeah.
But Richie would see that as cheating, and then he'd just like straight out bang Andy, and
Yeah,
just
but
be like, "Oh,
I
cheating."
don't know if Andy would be down.
Yeah, that doesn't
Girl
feel like
Andy.
it.
Yeah, she was pretty much
kinda
like, "Don't call me ever
F you.
at home."
Well, we'll do business together. You make me a partner in this, and
The last thing,
Whatever.
The last thing we saw in this episode, though, was a booty girl coming over to Richie.
Yeah, it looks
Oh,
like Richie's just gonna
yeah.
be with that booty girl before any of this.
that's right.
Right, that was such. That was
Yeah.
You can do
Cokehead
coke
booty
out
girl.
of her belly button.
Yeah. So that could be
hashtag cokehead booty girl.
hashtag cokehead booty girl.
I saw them at Coachella. They were great.
They are all over.
Oh man! All right, so solid episode this week, and I think going to be.
Can I do a real quick prediction? I know
Oh,
we're
yeah.
running out of time. I'm wondering, I'm calling it now. I think Jamie, the Nasty Bits, and Lester might not stick around with American Century anymore.
Oh,
I feel like we're being
major
primed.
drama.
Because Jamie steps into Julie's office and is like, "This is what I want. This is what I want." She keeps asking. She's got a bargaining chip, and she might play it.
I
Also,
don't know.
I do think Jamie's moving in with Kip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
ooh.
because
She's
wherever
definitely protecting her
'cause-
investment.
Well, because wherever she was staying, I think was through the grace of her mother. Like it was an
Oh.
aunt
Right,
or
that was
something.
her aunt,
It was an
yeah.
aunt or something. So now that she's severed that tie,
So do you think Jamie's gonna get kind of into drugs like too? With
No.
the heroin
No, I think
thing?
she's
don't
too
think so.
focused.
I think
she's
Jamie's
too focused.
Jamie's too above it.
She was
Okay.
raised by an immigrant. She's got that.
I would hope they get a box spring and a bed frame. Because nothing annoys me more than just a mattress on the floor.
And actually, before we go, Jeff, you made some anagrams.
I did,
this
because
week
Okay.
anagrams
for
are
us.
so important in
Just
this
go.
episode.
We got to hear them.
Jeffrey Graham is he, my jar gaffer.
Oh.
Whoa.
Steve Kaufmann is vets make fun, ma.
That makes sense.
Laila Sadny is a nails lady.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
Maybe you have a career, I don't know. And then Lauren Salaun is an aura sullen.
Oh,
Wow.
I like it.
Yeah.
There's some good
Ooh, I
anagrams.
love,
Yeah.
I
Those are
love
great.
those. Great
Yeah.
work.
Oh my
on
gosh.
those,
Thanks, guys. Lots of
Jeff.
research for this
Cool.
one. Yeah.
Alrighty, everybody. That does it. Thank you to everyone in the chat who talked with us. And we will see you guys all next week. Be sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. You can catch all of our shows on iTunes and SoundCloud as well. I'm Lauren Salaun. Find me everywhere online at Lauren Salaun, and go.
I'm Steve Kaufmann. You can find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. That is Kaufmann. For those of you who are also interested in Gotham, in about 2 hours, I'll be covering Gotham, probably in this very room, and a bunch of other stuff that I do here at AfterBuzz TV, and I tweet about regularly.
Yeah. Hey guys, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Laila Sadny.
You guys can find me on Twitter at he, my jar gaffer. No, I'm just kidding. You guys can find me on Twitter at Jeffrey C. Graham and Insta at Jeffrey Crane Graham. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks for watching. See you guys next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.